Hiya, I'm Eve. I'm one of the art therapists at Arts for Health. Today we're doing a drawing process. This is called drawing with repeated movement. So this is a creative process based initially on movement. So this is not about pre-planning or having an idea of the final product or final image that you want. This is an image that we do based on whatever our hand would like to do, not what our brain would like to do. So the process today, we're going to start putting our pen on the page, we're going to make a little shape, repeat that shape, then we're going to pause for a second and step back. We're going to add some details and background, okay, just a little bit, and build up a little bit of a story. Then we're going to pause and do a reflection about what that might mean for us. So the idea here is that we're using repetition as a way to get out of our head. So we're not planning so much. This is not a drawing with lots of pre-planning. This is just following what our hand would like to do. With art therapy, it's not about the final product so much, it's more about the process. So we're not looking to make an artwork that other people would like. It's not about other people even necessarily understanding your artwork. It's about what it means for you and exploring that. Okay, so let's get started. So you will be looking from above. You'll see me starting with a line or a shape, some sort of movement, and then I'll be developing that into an image. Remember, I haven't pre-planned this, so you're seeing it happen for the first time. The other thing that's really important is to listen to your body. So I'm going to keep going and developing that line until it feels like my hand is a little bit tired, or I start to feel like I want to draw something else. That's a good time to think, okay, I'm noticing what my body's telling me, let's move on here, let's pause and do the next stage of the image. So keep going until you get some sort of signals from your arm that you're a little bit tired of that repeated movement. Okay, so we're up to the reflection stage. So we've done our line, we've started it, we've repeated it and developed it. We've added a few extra details. So the first thing that stood out to me was this roughness, this texture, this bark of the tree. And straight away it just talks to me about age and growth and time that's passed. So there's a lot of sort of oldness here, age, okay? But it contrasts straight away with all the new growth of the tree. It made me think about how maybe this tree grew a long time ago. It got to here, some things broke off, it stopped growing, or it paused, or it got big enough, and then now it's having a new growth. Maybe it's springtime again and all this new growth is popping up. I just noticed lots of different types of growth. We've got the leaves, obviously, we've got the little tendrils coming out everywhere, we've got a nest with some new birds, some new eggs in there, and we've even got a little seedling down here, some new growth there. So there's a strong contrast between old and new. It just talks to me about how important it is in our lives to acknowledge where we've been and then to look for that new growth when it comes. It could be old and craggy, and then we finally get our new growth. Another thing that stood out was the interesting story about the birds. So this bird I added in right at the end, and there's just an interesting little mystery about what this bird is doing. So is it bringing food? Is it coming to visit? Are they friends? Is it friend or foe? So that's interesting. If I took more time to keep drawing or keep developing this, that would be an area that I would keep looking into for further parts of this story. So one last thing that stood out to me was how I actually didn't draw much background here. So it's interesting that most of the image is actually in the foreground. That speaks to me a little bit about being in the present. So sometimes it's okay to be in the present, to stay in your world, in your own space for a little while, and we don't have to always pay attention to what's happening outside, that we can stay in our world, in our tree, in our nest, and just nourish ourselves, and that's good and that's okay. It's good to stay in the present and be with ourselves for a while. Some things that I would explore further: the new seedling popping up, the story here about whether this is a visitor and what they're bringing. I would actually think about what the treasures are, what the eggs are, what that new growth is there. So the first thing I noticed as I was doing it was that I was a little bit tight in my arm to begin with. As I went, my arm got a little bit looser and the line got a little bit looser, especially as I came round again, the line started to stretch out. Then I noticed that as I went, I wanted to build up a little bit of speed actually after that. So I started doing some fast little squiggles. Then we got to the point where I was adding in the leaves, and I did start to loosen up again, and that's when I sort of got more to a calm stage. So I hope you've enjoyed this process with me. I hope it gives you some inspiration that you can do some drawing, some repeated movement drawing of your own. Remember to listen to your body and take time to do a reflection at the end. Thanks for watching.